welcome to Snowed In January, to never letting the emotional terrorist win.
We are responsible for doing better if our past actions aren't our best selves. You can always change the future because it hasn't happened yet. Are you in there?
No.
People are asking where you've been.
I think that's just going to be my response now for every single fucking time you do something like that or say little comments like that. I'm just going to turn it off.
Bye-bye.
I'm just going to turn it off.
Every time I'm going to be like, hello.
And I'll be like, fuck you.
I'm cold. I had a blanket cover.
Now.
I had a blanket over my legs and my feet while we were reading and stuff on the couch. So now, like, once I got up, my body was not regulated to regular temperature.
Yeah, I'm also cold, but I think that's just because I'm sick.
That could also be it too.
But I'm literally like, I'm wearing fuzzy socks and like flannel pajama pants and a sweater, and I'm drinking tea and I'm still cold. So it's probably just the sickies. But it's not going to stop us from reading smut, no sir.
We're not gonna stop, no.
That's not what I was saying.
No, we're not gonna stop. We're not gonna stop reading all the smut.
That's probably the worst one you've ever done. I'm sorry. I love you. Not every song can be turned into a smut song.
Now, that's not the kind
I feel
of
like that's a challenge.
Yeah, no,
I feel like that's a challenge.
That's definitely a challenge. Challenge accepted. Honestly, I'll accept it on Ariel's behalf.
Don't encourage her,
going
please.
to try next?
Please don't encourage her. So welcome to Snowed In January, and welcome to our beautiful specials. And we have Miss Angie with us again because
hello.
You're welcome.
Yep.
That is your New Year's gift, Angie, for our first 3 specials, because we're going to have 3 this month.
Today's number 2.
Yes, bitch. And what did we read?
Today, we read Snowed In, the Anthology, Volume 2, and it is a paranormal Why Choose anthology. And today, we each picked one of the short novella / stories in the anthology, and we are going to each talk about the ones that we read.
Yep. And as the same as the last episode that we did, I didn't tell either of them which one I picked, and you're welcome.
Yeah.
Before we kick it off,
I move in the shadow.
It's gonna be a surprise for everybody.
Before we kick it off, did we want to list the names of the choices that were in the anthology?
Of course. I can do it this time, and then Angie can do it next time, and then all 3 of us will have read things. You're welcome. I volunteered you. I voluntold you what you're doing, so.
It's okay, I'm used to it.
You know what? She's going to be a good girl, and she's going to do what I say. You're welcome.
You're supposed to say thank you, Daddy.
Oh my God.
This is what happens as we break Angie.
First of all, I'm not trained, and that's on you.
It's new. It's okay. We'll get through it. We'll get through it together. It's okay. Okay, anyways.
That's what, Angie.
For the books in this anthology, it is Not and Cold, Their Naughty Beta, An Omega for Christmas, Never Have I Ever Green, Upon a Wicked Night, Their Omega's Toy, Barely Snowviving, Tinsel and Shifter, Why Are You Laughing? Wrath and Wreaths.
I'm holding it in.
Snowed In Omega, and Oh Holy Spite, and Stolen by Dragons. What?
All I want for Christmas is an alpha knot.
Oh my God. I swear to God, at the end of the year, it's just going to be
I'm just going to quit. You know what's going to happen is Angie's going to be taking my place because I'm done.
Do you want to go first today, Crystal, since you went second last time?
Why not?
We'll just kind of go
around. It's going to be terrible, but absolutely, I got you.
Do you want to build a snowman?
1 second.
Do you want to go first? Do you want to come first?
Please shut the fuck up.
Yes,
please. Mommy, please.
I'm not mommy.
Oh, I know. That was you saying it, but
she was responding for you.
Yeah, because you weren't going to.
Okay, here's the thing.
As she ignores me and moves on.
I am. So I read Oh Holy Spite because
Oh
Holy Spite.
Nope, that's not where I was going with that. Oh, holy dick.
Here's the thing. The warning page is 3 pages long.
Nice.
And I'm gonna read it to you.
I mean, tape
I
is
don't give
therapy.
me don't I wait until you hear all of it first. So here is the warnings. This is a paranormal why choose romance with poly elements. Our FMC Dolores will not have to choose between love interests. There are many situations included that are intended for mature audiences. In this book, there may be instances or references, be they small or lengthy, that could trigger some individuals, such as liberal use of appropriate consent, biting, BDSM, oral sex, raw sex, shifted sex, traumatic childhood, MMF, MFMM, MF. Super heinous puns, literally lots, unhealthy coping mechanisms, body parts in jars, neurospicy MMC, body modifications, fancy genitalia, male knots slash barbs, slightly unhinged MMC, PTSD, blood, emotional abuse discussed, alcohol use, domestic violence discussed, implied child abuse, body dysmorphia, bad language, power play, adorable nicknames, coercive emotional abuse by authority figures discussed not in polygroup, voyeurism, rough sex, anal sex with wings, marking, lawyers mentioned, professor slash student above 18, age gap from 17 years to almost 2,000 years, family dysfunction, absolute disrespect for shitty parents, pop culture references, so many, brief mentions of non-body positive dieting culture, brief mentions of parental death slash murder, very liberal reimagining of history, discussion of other species as lower, official corruption, inappropriate use of stuffed animals, exhibitionism, hand necklaces, adult bullying, impact play, elitism, physical threats to FMC and others, speciesism, unabashed hoarding, role reversal, band slash musical geek shit, you'll see. No sexual practices in this book should be taken as safe or appropriate for real life application. Content information is important, and I don't ever want to harm readers with inaccurate information. You're welcome.
That's all in one book?
Inappropriate use of stuffed animals.
Don't worry about
I
it.
have a lot of questions.
Okay.
I am assuming those will be answered as she explains the timeline.
Probably not.
Well, you read that.
And I still read the book. Yes.
You read that and you still read the book, even though you don't like shifted sex?
I was
Just checking.
confused the whole time. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I was really confused.
Do
with
I
mine,
know who
too.
was what animal? Absolutely not.
You are like firm about like, no, no,
well
thank
aware.
you.
In my brain,
okay.
they weren't
And you
shifted,
still-
but they definitely were.
Okay.
In my brain, they weren't, but they absolutely were.
So this description is going to be a ride.
Wild. I'm telling you right now.
And I'm sorry, was that fancy?
Fancy genitalia. There is a piercing.
Oh.
I don't know
Matter?
if that's it or if there was other things involved with genitalia. Wasn't paying attention apparently. There was so much going on in this book that I got
And you
lost.
still chose that's what you're going to...
Well, she did say she wanted to surprise
and this
you.
is why.
I
And
guess
this
we
is-
are here for the ride.
And this is the reasoning why. So next is the author ramblings. And I'm
Should we
just going to
take
read a
notes?
couple highlighted things that I put in here. I joined this anthology despite my extremely overburdened schedule because I am vehemently against some of the mean girl shit that has gone on in our genre and romance in general. Seeing an author decide they have to pull a book because some self-centered egomaniac used the court of public opinion and their fan base in an attempt to discredit a colleague is super gross and is not at all okay. And she just kept going about it.
And we thought you were direct, Ariel. Damn.
She says, if
Bitches.
you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. I chose to practice what I preach. My usual instinct is to be supportive in the background, but having just barely survived my own mudslinging narcissist, she decided to speak up. So she made room for this project where there was none, and using a short story from the universe, most adamantly fighting off mean girl bullies to do so. It felt like the right move, and my brawler bunny was more than happy to contribute. While the injured party in this case seems to be doing well and the onslaught of nasty disappeared once she pulled her book, it hasn't escaped my notice that the bully is taking advantage of that by throwing as much promo into her own book as possible. I mean, 'tis the season, and that can't be why she attacked a popular author who might have taken away her holiday buzz with a new tale of tinsel and snow. She went in on her, and you know what? I'm here for it. It says, I'm not sure
Obviously,
what this
so are we, since we have an entire month here dedicated to Snowed In January with the
Yes.
side of tinsel.
The other thing to note is this story is from a world that starts with a few other books. The world in which our characters live is set up in those books, but you should be able to enjoy this content regardless. You may not understand all the references, but you can mostly follow along. She typically writes really lengthy books with intricate world building and character development. So it's a lot. Old Holy Spite is a Why Choose Poly romance. So by Cassandra Featherstone.
Cassandra, you just earned yourself 3 new besties.
I may have been very much confused, and that's okay. I was still here for the ride. The dedication is also great because the dedication is to never letting the emotional terrorist win.
Love that so much. I have
Yes.
goosebumps. I literally have goosebumps, and
this
not just
book-
because I'm cold.
This book was interesting, and I'm going to do my best. I'm going to miss a lot because I don't typically delve into the world of shifters for one, but a poly relationship with like 6 shifters.
Wow, that's
There
a
are
lot
6
of
people in
players.
this relationship. I have a
That's
hard enough time with like 2. It also has a playlist involved, and it also comes with a pronunciation guide and a map. I apologize in advance for how much I'm going to butcher this, and I'm so sorry.
Yes, and Crystal is very new to this
All of
world.
this.
So
So
it
it's okay.
was probably a big culture shock.
And it's not going to be great, and I am so sorry, and I do not mean disrespect for the fact I'm going to absolutely butcher this.
And we hope that you appreciate our attempt at Snowed In January.
And legitimately,
finished
what
the-
sold me on this was literally that section about I don't put up with bullying authors, and the fact she called her right out. That's why I picked it. So this takes place at Apex Academy, which is great. It's a school. So I believe this is a college-aged romancy book. So it starts off with this guy named Fitz. It does go in different point of views for each chapter, and they are very clearly labeled at the top as to who is speaking. So that's nice. And Fitz is upset currently. He was just getting off the phone with a lawyer. He does call the lawyer a hillbilly lawyer because his baby girl is having a problem. Not an actual baby. Her name is Dolly. Yes. Because
It sounds like when I try to name people in books and I just go, oh, that Karen Ghost Hunter?
Yeah.
Oh, that?
Yeah, that guy.
Karen Ghost Hunter. Yeah, that guy.
Her name is Dolores, but they call her Dolly throughout the whole book. So Dolly had been going to a
'Cause
therapist.
Dolly's a better name.
Yes. Dolly had been going to a therapist. The therapist's name is Rockland, and Rockland is a lady, from what I gather. And she was abusing her in therapy. So that's fun and making things a lot harder. So Fitz is obviously pissed and he wants to go after this lady. He goes, it's going to be so bloody and painful. Every jab and ache she caused my baby girl will be avenged if I have to murder the entire council to get to her.
Burn the world.
Hell yeah.
Burn
And
it down.
yes.
Who runs the world?
That guy
Girls.
Who's gonna
Red
kill
flags.
Baby girl.
Red flags.
Red
You know,
flags.
sometimes red's my favorite color, so it's okay. Fitz is like worked up. And Chessie is a dude also, is by the way. Everybody is a dude except for Dolly. I learned this halfway through.
Everybody is a dude except for Dolly. I
Always
just
a
love how
lady.
you have to say that out loud.
Listen, you'll understand why.
Yes.
So Chessie is like calming Fitz down a little bit.
Did you say Chessie like
Chessie, Chessie,
like
or
in,
Chessie.
like Chester, but Chessie.
Yeah,
no, like in the Parent Trap and the cook like nanny lady?
I guess so.
And her name I think was Chessie? No?
Sure.
No, her name was
Oh.
Jessie, I think.
I thought it was Chessie.
I
I don't know. This is
Now I have
Chessie.
to watch the Parent Trap again.
Yay!
This is a guy, and he is like, you know, we can't attack the ratty cunt until we're sure she doesn't have that book in the pipeline somewhere.
You
What
can't
book?
make it to one freaking episode without saying your favorite word.
It's
See
in
you
the
next
book.
Tuesday.
I have
Make
to
it
say
through
it.
one word.
Yeah.
Through episode.
And, you know, Fitz is like, I don't want to wait. I want to make her guts into garters for our girl. They are violent,
I
for
like
the record.
that. I like that a lot.
It's
I
great.
shouldn't,
I
but
also
I like
believe
that a
that
lot.
This coupled with the warning list, I mean, I'm here for this.
then they start flirting, Chessie and Fitz. It's very clear they're all in a relationship together. And as far as I know, Chessie is a cheetah and Fitz is a tiger. How do I know this? Because Fitz refers to Chessie as his cheetah all the time. They're like kind of flirting, and then in pops Dolly, and she's just, you know, I think you're both hot no matter what you're doing. Because they're just like flirting and talking back and forth. And there's a lot of weird references in this book. The beginning I kind of struggled a little bit going through because of the back and forth where we just kind of jumped right in. And, you know, Fitz goes, "Hey, you're here just in time to help me show our cheetah how much we appreciate his purr." And then, of course, he calls her over and says, "Don't make me use the Mortal Kombat voice. Shake that fluffy tail." For the record, Dolly is a bunny.
Like a real bunny?
She's a shifter, so she shifts into, yeah, bunny,
Oh,
tiger, cheetah. Don't worry, because there's more.
okay, cool.
Yeah, so I
I'm not
believe
I'm
they
not
are in
tracking
their
any of this.
forms, as far as I know from what the context is going.
I'm not tracking any of this, but yes, go on.
Dude, you're me reading it. It's not a bad book. I just don't read these things, and this is very difficult for me to understand, but I wanted to do this. So she runs over to the couch, and then she just crawls over, and he says that she looks like a tasty fucking snack in her tiny little pajamas, and that she looks very delectable on her hands and knees.
You're a whole ass snack.
Yeah.
A whole snack.
And they make little comments here and there about how, you know, she's a queen and she sets her own terms. And she goes, "Yeah, you're right. No one will ever force me to submit again." So it is kind of hinted that like she has some stuff in the past in trauma and everything. So they are very good about letting everything be on her
On her terms.
And it's so cute. I know, it's so great. And so Chester starts wriggling against the dude. Then Fitz asks Dolly to come over and help him to take all of the clothes off of Chessie so that they can do their thing. And Dolly's like, "Hell fucking yeah," and takes Chess's they call him Chess a lot.
So they were
Chess's-
already an established
Yes,
trio
this is
in the
already
start
an
of this.
established. Yeah, this is
Okay.
already an established relationship. And so she just goes down on him.
Cool.
She's
Solid.
like teasing him, and Fitz is like, "Good girl, now the pants. I want to see you stroke our cock." So he refers to Chess's stuff as ours.
Nice.
It's interesting. So, she's blowing him, fun times. And then
Chester is the bottom.
Chester is the bottom.
Chester's my
And
guy, man.
she occasionally
Chessie's the bottom.
Chessie's the bottom. And she occasionally is like nipping at him, and she comments about how he marks so good and she really likes it. And Fitz is like, "Oh boy, we both do." Biting makes you a little needy mess. So that's fun. So she's doing the thing. And Fitz is like, "Okay, I think we need to take care of the monster, don't you?" And she goes, "Hell yeah, I'm hungry. You should spin him around on your lap and fuck him. I want to taste him." So he does.
I love that for her. She is
very self-confident.
She's so sure in what she wants, and she's not afraid to ask for it. I love that.
Yeah, so Fitz is running his teeth along his mating mark on him. And apparently they have a toy box and lube in every single room in their house. And it was Chess's idea
It's good to be
to do
prepared.
that. Absolutely.
That's just good sense, honestly.
It's great sense. So that happens. And so he's got his hands in Chess and he's prepping him so that he can bang the shit out of him. She decides to bend over and lick the tip of Chessie's pierced dick. So she's blowing him while Fitz is banging Chess, and all of a sudden you just hear someone go, "Princess, you smell needy." And in comes Felix. That's number 4, guys.
Hey, Felix.
And Felix comes in, and Fitz is like, "Felix, you asshole, we're in the middle of something. Either tag in or get the fuck out." I will preface this by saying that Felix and Fitz are brothers. They're twins.
Okay. As
And
long
Felix
as
just
Felix
laughs.
and Fitz don't fuck, I'm
They
cool.
do not. No.
Okay,
They
great.
don't fuck. No, they don't.
They just share their toys.
Exactly.
At that point, that's a bit narcissistic. Like,
Yes.
a
And
bit
this
egotistical.
part might take Angie out, and I'm sorry, because Felix gets behind her because, she's blowing Chess, so she's, down. And Felix goes behind her and says, "Would you like me to help you, princess? All you have to do is say please. You know how good girls get what they asked for." And she just goes, "Please, sir, fuck me while I suck Chessie off. I'm soaked." So yes, now they are in a thing and they just go, "Baby girl, you and Chessie are the best meat in our sandwich, hands down."
The twins are the bread to the sandwich.
Exactly. And then they give Chessie
It's not a
permission
sandwich,
to
it's a sub.
That was really good, actually. But then Fitz gives Chessie permission to come to give Dolly something to fill her stomach. So he just says, "Give her a hungry girl something to fill her." And, that's fun for them. So
Okay.
then all of a sudden you have two more people that walk in and they're like, really? We can't leave you guys alone for a couple of hours without just coming in and finding a pile of sweaty idiots. So Rennie comes in, and Rennie, I think, is a gargoyle. There are
Okay.
hints there. I believe he's a gargoyle. So Aubrey and Rennie walk in together. Aubrey is also a guy, and that is why I preface that everybody but Dolly is a guy because Aubrey is a guy.
Okay, cool.
And they come in and they mention that there is a huge snowstorm going on outside. Like it's starting. The flurry is starting. And they kind of get like a little bit of hints that there is something going on at the school and that everyone is currently locked up and on high alert, and that when classes go back, that's not going to be the case. Then Fitz reaches out and yanks Dolly close to him and goes, good thing I got the spicy salamander, that Kama Sutra a day calendar for Yule, and they can plan it to have fun. So basically, they're going to be trapped inside this house while the snow is going on, and at least they have a Kama Sutra to let the
Okay.
time go by.
Well,
Um,
if you must spend the time locked indoors together, you might as well
yes.
entertain yourselves with the Kama Sutra, you know?
Yeah. And then you kind of get like a little bit into Dolly's head where she was talking about like, I think she's like newly a bunny because she just says that the more in tune with her bunny that she gets, the more fuel she needs to expend a lot of energy. And according to the guys, it's normal, but they're not the product of an evil sociopathic mother and a female diet culture. So they do kind of go into that. And it kind of hints that her mom really fucking sucks. But you know what? I've read a lot of books and a lot of moms really suck.
May
So
I just tip my hat at the author for making a whole ass character out of the joke slash phrase fucking like bunnies?
that went over my
Hat
head.
tipped.
And I love
Hat
this.
tipped,
That's
ma'am. Madam, wonderful job.
fantastic. Oh,
Wonderful
that's so
work.
good. That's so good. That's
I
fantastic.
just caught that.
Throughout this thing, Rennie speaks French a lot throughout this.
Nice.
He's super old, which is fine. But like age wise, him and Aubrey are the oldest of the two of them. They've been around a lot longer. I think they are like thousands of years old. But
Cool.
Ren wants to show Dolly something. Not that something, but
Well,
I know, right?
Why not?
There is a lot of really cute banter between all of them all the time. Like they have a lot of stuff that goes back and forth. And I guess the narcissistic counselor that she had, the one who abused her, was trying to sell Dolly's life story in her erotic novels, and everything got worse. So it's kind of hinted throughout here. And I'm assuming that it's because it's like within other books that there is more to the story as to what's going on. So there's a lot of cool stuff going back and forth with them. After all of the mess in the house gets cleaned up, Rennie goes up to her and says, I just want to show you something since we have like this small little lull before the semester begins and like a bunch of other shit happens for crazy stuff. And she's, like, ooh, let's go do this. And as far as I know, Aubrey is a dragon. We have a dragon, a gargoyle, a tiger, a bunny, and a cheetah.
but
And I
there's
feel like
five
I'm
people.
missing something else.
You're missing,
I am. So maybe there's only five. I don't know why I thought six.
well, no, because hang on, because the twins, Felix.
Felix.
What's Felix?
They're twins. They're probably the same.
It's possible, yes. It would make sense. But, anyways, like I said, I think if I read the whole series itself, everything will click together a little bit. And again, I feel bad that I'm doing this not justice, but I'm trying. And this is something out of my wheelhouse typically.
We are here
So,
for the ride.
I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. So Rennie wants to show Dolly something. So they leave their house place thing. I don't remember because they say they go back to the library. So I think they're like in a library. So he takes her to this art complex and she's like, why are you taking me here? And he likes to hide things. This man has a piano. Guess what? He plays piano. He's also been around for like thousands of years, but she didn't know this. And she likes music and everything. So they sit down and they play piano together and they sing together. And it's really cute that they're just like bonding. And then she says, you're a masters of a million things because you're older than dirt. And I'm still trying to figure out how to work my damn bunny. She puts herself down a lot because obviously with her history. Obviously, there's something there that makes it so she's not so self-assured. You know what I mean? She understands the music that's going on. And he's like, there's nothing wrong. She's like, I could barely keep her from sending me to have my body fixed to her satisfaction because she could smell sounds and hear things in her mind. And she can't really tell her mom that. Of course, Rennie's like, there's nothing wrong with your brain, no more than minor phthisis. What else have you figured out? And she says that Aubrey has an eidetic memory. He tries to hide his corner of the rainbow spectrum, but if I move one of his treasures a centimeter to test him, he knows it's spooky. And Aubrey is the dragon. So you can learn anything you teach him after a few lessons. Then he goes on the nose. And our fearless leader, which I believe they're talking about Fitz, and she goes, you mean his massive control issues? They come from anxiety. His shithead father spent most of his life threatening his grandmother and his twin and his adopted brother. So you kind of get like a little bit of history of them as well. And basically, it kind of comes out that Dolly has, I can't pronounce the word,
Synesthesia.
Thank you. And Kristen, those two are not common, but she has that. And it's endearing to him. And he says, our job is to help you unlearn the shit your mother filled your head with. And that means you're going to hear us wax poetically. Because they always compliment her. And again, they call her a queen all the time. They're really trying to combat all the fucking trauma that she's had. It's a cute moment that they get to kind of spend time together. And Dolly is really happy to have time just between her and Ren because they don't get that a lot. And then they kind of go back and they're talking about they think that the missing students at the school, again, because we're in the book, they think that maybe the missing students in the school are being either hurt or killed. They don't actually know what's going on, but bad stuff was happening and they'll figure it all out when they come back from break.
So, do they all work at the school, or
No, they're students.
they're all students,
They're all students. Yes.
including Ren?
Yeah, all of them are students.
Huh.
Why are they students?
Literally don't know. I got nothing for you.
Okay.
So then the snow starts to pick up a lot. And Fitz, Chess, and Aubrey are worried because Ren and Dolly are not back at the house yet. And they're kind of freaking out a little bit because,
They're so crazy, yeah.
yeah. The thing I really like a lot though is they all praise Dolly when she's not even around. And they talk about how great she is as a person, which is really cool. And as they're trying to leave to go find Dolly and Ren, they're trying to get Aubrey to blow fire because he's a dragon. And he goes, I'm not gonna do that. Like, what the fuck? I can't just do that. Chess goes, no, our angel will murder you if you get hurt just playing around. And he goes, yeah, but her punishment is so worth it. Plus, I get to see Grumpy Gila Monster blow flames. It seems like a win to me.
You know what? That's the kind of brat energy that
Fitz
I'm
is
here
really
for.
funny. I like him a lot. He's really funny, and he is like their quote unquote like leader of the group. And so as they're walking through, they hear music going, and Aubrey just kind of states, I wondered when he was gonna let her know. He's been sitting on this one for the last year, and he just hasn't told her because he wanted a moment to share something special with her. And that's why like he's waited this long because obviously, you have to have all their relationships with everybody. And it's so cute. And so they all head back home to the library, and the snow is getting a lot worse. And because they're all bored, Chess, Fitz, and Felix decide that they want to prank Aubrey and Ren because Aubrey and Ren are the two oldest of everybody.
Oh God.
And they go up to Dolly and they're like, I have a proposal. And she goes, what? Like, not that kind of proposal. Like, we want your help to prank Aubrey and Ren because they kept shit hidden from us for so long, but we always wanted us to share everything. And they suggest that she come up with a few ideas because they tend to be more overt and less devious. And apparently she would be way more devious with it. I don't know what the prank ended up being. I probably missed it. There's a mini ambush, but they can sense a lot that the change in the weather feels off because it has slowed down, but it feels weird that the weather has slowed down. Like there's just like a shift in the feelings. As soon as the weather stops, Ren wants to take a flight once the snow stops. And Aubrey just keeps stating like he feels like the weather is super off. And instead, Aubrey decides to take Dolly for her own flight, and he's bringing her to a place that he wants to share with her as well. He brings her to a motherfucking castle.
Yeah, buddy.
It's just
Because
so
he's a
wild.
dragon.
Hashtag
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast.
Because he
Woo!
is a dragon. Yeah. He collects things. So he has this castle and she's like, "What the fuck?" And she just goes, "Aubrey, you just made me Princess Peach and I'm standing on top of Bowser's castle." He goes, "I blink." And oh, Fitz is never gonna let this one go because no one else knows about his castle. I just thought it was funny. It was a great quote about it. And he calls her a Lunchable for some reason, like a lot. He calls her a
She's
little
a
Lunchable.
snack.
I kind of makes sense because she is a snack. She is a rabbit. He's a dragon. He could eat her. I get it. He does call her, they all have like little nicknames for her. Lunchable, probably the funniest one that I have read in this book. It's fucking hilarious. So he wants to show her all of the different stuff that he has gathered and all the wealth that he has gathered behind the walls. She's like, "Well, where do we start?" And he goes, "You know what? We'll start and we'll go to each floor individually." And she's like, "Are they all different?" And he's like, "Of course. Everything is cataloged and in its proper place." I
You
mean,
know,
As they should be.
I'm starting to find my favorite.
I like Aubrey a lot. Aubrey is one of my favorites. I like the dragon. He's so cute. And so he brings her to this enormous room which has black marble everywhere. There's paintings and sculptures and statues and photos and like it's awesome. And it's just a lot and he's been literally gathering it his entire life. He never raid villages for anything. He goes, "I don't want your ethically abundant best friend coming after me when you tell her." Because she does have two friends. They're just not really into the story. They're mentioned like very briefly, but they can't come to their house because of all the snow. Again, I'm assuming in the full book, everything is explained, and that's okay. And so she's just kind of like walking around, and he's like, unlike humans, dragons are quite fair in their pursuit of valuables. That's probably why the assholes love to portray us as greedy fuckers in their tales. And she kind of walks in, there's like an empty display pedestal, and she goes, "What was in here?" And he goes, "Your crown." I'm like, "There's a crown?" It belonged to the last dragon empress. By the way, this person is his mother. So the crown belonged to his mom.
He gave her.
Yeah, he did. He did give her a crown. She goes, "How the hell did you get that thing anyway? And why are you letting me wear something this priceless?" And she said that she's like, "I knew it was expensive, but now I feel like an idiot storing it on the special wig head Rufus gave me in my bedroom." So she literally stores this crown on a wig in her room, and it's worth a lot of money. And he goes, "That was adorable. Do it again. Better yet, do it with your ears," because like she's fidgeting. And she's like, "Aubrey, you can't just drop shit like that on me and expect me to hop like a good little rabbit." Jesus fucking Christ. He explains that, like, besides Rennie, she's the only other person that he's ever brought to that castle. And she's like, "Why?" And he's just like, "Chaos, the human curiosity, hunters, fear mongering." Like, it's just, there's a whole bunch of reasons that there's no, you don't want to bring anybody there. And then he says, "As for how I got it, it's a family heirloom and it belonged to my mother." And she's like, "He doesn't get why I'm so irritable, but I definitely would have treated a precious crown from his freaking mother, the Empress, differently than some random expensive thing. I mean, I didn't do anything stupid with the crown, but I didn't treat it like a priceless artifact either." And Aubrey just blinks and goes, "I said it was a dragon crown." And she goes, "Yeah, but I didn't think that it was going to be from your mother." Like, she's like, "Chess's parents are dead, so there's no worries about them. Fitz and Felix's father's a psychopath, like her mom is. And for some reason, she just assumed Aubrey and Rennie were too old. His mom is still alive, apparently, for
Ren's
the
mom.
record. She's just retired."
Mom.
He's like, she isn't horrid bite size. He calls her bite size too. She's just very old school and retired, obviously. And she goes, "I have to get my shit together." He's looking at me like I'm ready for a grippy sock vacation, which was also funny.
I also like Ruby
Yeah.
Sock's Vacation.
She's like, "You have to tell me these things. Like, you and Rennie hold back the most. I need to know." And he goes, "Yeah, you're right. People, his mom had seen her in it because like they go out apparently and get pictures taken in it." And he goes, "People have taken your picture in it. You also wore a con tiara on your New Year's Eve." And she goes, "Excuse me?" So basically, the con tiara was a big middle finger to, I don't know who at the Raj is, but the Raj and her mom. So basically, it's also priceless. So another expensive tiara she didn't know. any of these things were happening. So wild times. So they're continuing in the castle, and all of a sudden, there's just more stuff. And they stumble upon, there's a lot of like vinyl pressings. He owns a lot of vinyl pressings. And he has a Wu-Tang Clan album in there too.
Of course he does.
So there's that. And then he goes, this room coming up is the most secret place of all. Even Rennie knows not to open his big fat mouth about it or he's in deep shit. What is this room, you may ask? The best room in this castle.
The dungeon?
It's a plushie room. It's just plushies. All of the plushies.
All the plushies.
Yes. And she's like, I love that you brought me here and you really tried hard not to actually say why. And he goes, I don't know what you mean. She goes, it goes something, oh, Dolly, I want to take you on a trip to my super secret place no one gets to go to. And then, of course, I'll go with you, Aubrey. Surely this doesn't mean anything important. Followed by, no, you just can't tell anyone about my adorable vault of toys I only share with my mates. But of course, this sloth is too far smart to believe that nonsense. And he goes, I do not sound like that. You're the only other person besides our broody Batman that I trust with things most important to me, including my heart. And she's like, good, because there's no other plushy hoarding lizard man I'd rather be with. And he just continues to call her a Lunchable. Dolly wants him to let out his dragon. Like, she just
Little
says,
instigator.
she goes, let him out to play. She is an instigator. She bites his thigh because, I mean, why not? And his wings pop out. Now pop his wings.
All right, Bat Boy.
And he just goes, be careful when you play with fire, my queen. Like, oh, love it, my queen. It's so cute. So he shifts, and he is, as she says, ribbed for her pleasure, and that the dragon is sexy as shit. And she blows him. And then he just goes, someone's been giving our girl lessons, and I bet I goddamn know who it is. Bet you it's Fitz. It's got to be Fitz. Come on. So yeah, they do that. And, you know, he asks her to sit on his face. And she
Nice.
goes, but what if, and he goes, if I
She
die.
even like fit on her his
I'm
face
gonna
as
say,
a dragon?
I don't know. I don't know. But he just says,
We're
get your
definitely gonna
fluffy,
need.
he just goes, get your fluffy ass up here and sit on my motherfucking face while you suck my cock. I'm a goddamn dragon woman. You won't break me. And she goes, but what if? And he goes, if I die, I die. Now feed your king. And I was like, oh, okay. I know.
Ah! Yes, sir.
Yep. And then a bunch of the drama starts happening with all the classes again. But, you know,
Wait, did
there's
they ever
a
get
when
together with the Kama Sutra?
no, so far no. Are you trying to figure out the fitting on her sitting on his face thing? I know. I don't know what his face looks like as a dragon.
Okay,
I
that's
bet you his tongue probably feels really nice. If his dick is ripped for her pleasure, can you imagine the tongue? Ah, but she's got to be sucking his cock.
yeah.
She'll be
So
facing the
that's
other
the other
direction.
way. Yeah.
That she can't reach.
Apparently she
He
can't.
asked her to sit on his face after they were done.
He said, I get your fluffy ass up here and sit on my motherfucking face while you suck my cock.
Oh, see, that's not possible. She
Well,
needs dolls. We should send her some dolls.
a dragon doll and a bunny doll.
Yep.
Anyways, so
Yep.
yeah,
Did you say a bunny doll?
a bunny doll. Yeah, she's a
Yeah,
bunny.
Dolly's a bunny.
I don't because
I don't.
they
Is she
ask her.
shifted at this
So
point? Then
some
she definitely can't reach.
no.
He,
So
he did say
sometimes they
fluffy
do.
ass.
Sometimes they do ask her to pop her ears out and pop her tail out without shifting fully, just to
Uh-huh.
get into whatever
Right.
they're doing. And then like they kind of she kind of talks a little bit about her magic. And again, I got no context as to what the fuck's going on, but she just says, I think I have to talk to my magic like I do my bunny. So I'm assuming something's going on with her magic and that shit's happening. But then, you know, they're cleaning up, whatever, and she's out and she goes out into the main room and the guys are just sitting around and talking.
They're
But
at
the
the
tone,
castle, or
they
they
are
went back
back
to
at,
the library.
I
library.
believe they're back at the library at this point because
Okay.
they did their thing in the castle and now they're back here. I know. I'm telling you, I'm fucking all over the place. So they're here, but the tone in the room is like super like
Somber.
serious.
Okay.
And what happened is they're gathered around the couch looking at the news channel.
Gathered you here today.
No. And on the screen it just says the council announces all shifter academies will resume classes after Freakstorm ends. Student bodies will be redistributed to accommodate space lost at Apex and rising numbers of families choosing private tutors for children with elite families. And they're like, you got to say something, Dolly. Like, you got to say something. And she just goes, if she tries to separate us, my mother is going to die much sooner than we planned. That's not a threat, it's a promise. And
Hell
Fitz
yeah.
is in a happy grin. And she just goes, they call me their queen. So if people don't quit messing with us, I'll start taking their heads. And then it ends. That's it.
I love that.
It's called Eat, Pray, Love. So I liked the book. I do need to know the world. I have never been so lost in my entire life, but that's okay because there were
You
parts
were
that
here for
connected.
the ride.
I was here for the ride. And you know what? What a ride it was. There was a lot of rides. It was great. I loved it. So good. So, anyways, my favorite character was absolutely Aubrey. Love that dragon boy. Love him. He's great. I actually like them all. They treated her very nicely and they treated her like a queen and it was glorious. We didn't get too much of Felix in the book,
It was a
which
really
is,
long story for a partial.
I know it was very long. Very long. It was a lot. I liked it. I definitely want to read more. I'm going to go 3.5 just because I'm confused. And honestly, once I get more of the story, I will be more into it. Honestly, the whole anthology for me was really tough for me to get into because this is not normally the
And we
genre that I
knew that
read.
this
Yes, we knew that I was
particular
going to have a harder
edition,
time,
volume 2, was going to be
which is
harder.
fine. And I'm cool
Yeah.
with it. And I had a great time. I know I need to, with worlds like this, I need to personally get more into the actual world itself.
But
I had a
kudos
great
to you
time.
for jumping in anyways and,
I had to pick the
doing
most
your thing.
difficult one.
You
But
really
honestly,
did, because
I really did. There was a lot going on in this one. And honestly, I picked it for the name because you give me spite in a title and I'm here for it.
Do you have a spice rating for us?
Not really, because I can't think of one. To be determined.
Great.
okay,
Who's next?
sounds fabulous.
I believe Ariel's next, and then I'll go last.
Then
since-
Angie will round it out.
So my pick was Upon a Wicked Night by Jen Bullard. This book started off with a dedication also, and it says, we are responsible for doing better if our past actions aren't our best selves. You can always change the future because it hasn't happened yet. So, not
Preach,
quite
baby.
as in your face, but I appreciated the subtle. This book, apparently, this is just my thing because this is 2 for me. And I'm going to end on a cliffhanger that, yes, once again, you are not going to get a resolution for until December. This book features Adira, and Adira is an Omega, and we know that her father has been keeping her locked up at home for her safety for all of her 22 years of life. And she's lived a very sheltered life. She lives a very routined, sheltered life. So she gets up, she takes special medication, she has to run an hour on the treadmill. And if she does all of those things, then she can earn privileges that she can do her own things. Typically in this world, Omegas would start shopping for a pack or an alpha at the latest around 20. So the fact that she's 22 and still sheltered at home is kind of a big deal, but her father said she's there for her safety and it's a dangerous world and she's not ready yet and blah, 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 blah. This book opens up with our 3 male main characters, Kane, Damon, and Jed, storming her house. They were sent by their father, who is kind of mafia-esque in this world. He's like a big boss man. We don't get a lot of detail on that, but it's very heavily hinted and very, this is what is. Apparently, Adira's father like runs guns or something for their father, and he done fucked up, and he like stole from them and like did a shipment on the side and all kinds of stuff. So now he did. They took him and they pew-pewed him. So now the 3 sons are sent to retrieve the Omega daughter as collateral because they have to get their money back somehow.
Mafia and shifters. Interesting.
Yeah. So obviously intruders are coming in the house searching for her. Even though Adira is very sheltered, she's not a total fucking idiot. So she fucking runs.
And we run.
Because she's not a fox. But
Anyway,
anyway,
Omega, who has not bloomed
typically
yet.
she's a wolf, but yeah, pretty sure they're wolves.
I don't know. I didn't read
It wasn't specified. I don't know. Nobody talked about shifting at all. It's just weird. It just talked about alphas.
Dude,
and Omega.
everyone in my book shifted and I got confused as fuck.
Anyways, she runs the fuck away through the snow. She's dashing through the snow.
And fucked in the snow.
Yeah, that would have been nice, but no. Instead, no, she was just caught.
This isn't Frisky the Snowman.
They tried to tell her to stop using their alpha voices, but they were very shocked to learn that their alpha voices did not work on her. So they had to manually catch her instead. But as they're manually catching her, she realizes that the scent of one of them is even more alluring than the already alluring scents of all of them. And it dawns on her that, like, you fucking kidding me? This man is my scent. This man is my
your mate?
Scent match, which basically her mate. Yes,
I know that much.
And she's like, awesome. No Prince Charming. No happily ever after for me. Just this douche canoe.
She's very thrilled about it.
I can tell by the tone.
So they tie her up with some rope.
It would be as if Ariel was in this story. That would be her. Great. So lovely.
Oh, I meant to ask you about your story. You did not mention any tinsel.
There was no tinsel. She mentioned
in the whole story.
She mentioned tinsel in like the author note in the description of the other stuff, but there was none in the actual book.
There was tinsel in mine, but it wasn't used like that. It was.
I'll just say it now. Tinsel. 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 Can't wait for that. You didn't have any either.
I did, but it's not really relevant to the story, but I'm going to add it in.
What did you have?
Because tinsel.
It's going to be a fucked up episode and I can't wait. Between my all over the place and me putting the sound in everywhere.
I can't believe the sick me is trying to hold this together. Come on, guys.
Dude, you should have seen us.
She's so disappointed in us right now. So they tie her up with some rope. They tie her hands and shove her into the back of an SUV. And Damon and Jed get in, and there's already a driver, Morris.
The beta.
He is the beta for their pack. Apparently, all three boys are alphas, but Jed is the lead alpha. So, cool beans. Weird, but cool beans. Where is Kane, you ask? Oh, Kane is blowing the fuck up her house.
Yeah, Kane likes explosives.
Yeah, and he's basically like, burn in hell, Jedediah, or whatever the fuck his name is, Jeremiah, burn in hell, Jeremiah, the dad. Blow up the house, and then jump into the SUV as it peels away. So they take off. And so she's in the back, rustling around, all pissed off because she was kidnapped and shoved into the back of an SUV. And they're basically like, pipe down. And, and they're sitting there talking, and they're telling her kind of like why they did all this and like what a bad man her father is and how they're there to collect the debt. And she's basically like, you just blew up my house, you fucking idiots. How do you think I'm going to be able to pay you?
Asking the real questions.
And they're basically like, we're taking you to the auction house. You're going to fetch a pretty penny. Because apparently Omegas have been dying out and they're few and far between. So bringing an Omega to an auction house for a pack to breed her would fetch quite a pretty penny.
I'd be kicking and screaming the whole fucking way. Ain't no one breeding me.
So yeah, she got even louder. Yeah.
So this is us in the story.
So then they're all like doing their thing, and they got her mad enough that all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, she flings herself from the back of the SUV area into the back seat with the rope that she somehow got off her wrists and starts like garroting Kane from behind with her feet on the back of the seat and like really putting her whole fucking body into it. And he's fucking turning purple, but he's like laughing. And
Does it turn him on?
quote, by the noises he's making and how red he is, I think she just may be tickling him. Kane gets off on pain, asphyxiation, and I think he may bust a nut soon. Strawberries and cream are one of my favorite desserts, but not because my brother had an orgasm. So Kane's scent that he gives off is strawberries.
Cream.
So he adds a little.
I would
And
do anything in the world to unhear that.
Damon
So
is the
great.
one who is thinking all this. And Damon is the one that is her scent match. And this is where Damon starts realizing his attraction for her, not to the degree that she instantly did, but just little things like right after he had that thought about her, he turned to her and saw her hair like tumbling down her back. And I bet she smells like sugar and baked treats. He's like, what the fuck? Because like he literally never has sex. He's never turned on by anyone. He was forced to lose his virginity by his brother who gave him Viagra.
Rude.
Yeah,
It was
right?
his father's fault, but yeah. His
Yes,
brother
but
gave
yes.
the drugs, yeah.
His father brought him to like basically a brothel and yeah. So he's
Poor
not,
boy.
nobody
I wanna
turns him
hug
on,
him.
nobody's interested until this girl. And he's can't figure it out. He's just so confused. He's so fucking confused. And now he has his brother sitting here fucking getting choked to fucking orgasm
Completion.
over here. Yeah. Choked to completion over here.
You're welcome.
Jed is over here like, can you fucking stop her? Like he's turning purple. And Damon's like, he's gonna come first. And he's like, Adira, my brother gets off on pain. You might want to stop that. And she's freaking out. She's like, too many cents, because we realize that she's starting to go into heat. And not only is she starting to go into heat, but she's starting to go into her first heat,
Oh boy.
which again should have happened around the age of like 20 or so. But surprise, motherfuckers. Her father said she's just a late bloomer. She's freaking out. She's like, I can't pay you. Everything I have in the world is gone. And she's joking and joking. Too many cents. And she sees what's going on. And then Damon's like, Adira, like, you need to let go. How did you get out of the ropes? Like, distracts her to the point of like looking at her wrists that are bleeding.
Oh God.
And that's enough to like click her out of it. And she lets go right as
He comes.
Kane. Yeah. And she scrambles.
I'm glad
the
you weren't gonna
farthest
say
she
it because
can.
I was just gonna say it.
Farthest she can of the SUV. But yeah, Kane basically says, little Omega, you only get to live for a little bit longer because you choked me so perfectly. And then Damon goes, strawberry cheesecake. Fucking great.
Why?
Then the boys all realize why she's acting like a fucking maniac. Damon doesn't, because he, again, is not around women ever and doesn't get it. But they're all starting to figure it out pretty fast. And they're like, what the fuck? Shouldn't you have known? Like, no, this is my first one kind of thing. And they quickly figure out that, yeah, those supplements, vitamins that her father has been giving her every morning, yeah, they've been suppressing her from going into
Maturity.
heat
Yeah.
and her
Oh,
maturity.
boy.
So now that her father's been dead and hasn't been home in 3 days, surprise! So fun
I'd
time.
be
So
so
now,
pissed.
so she's not doing so well in the back. Also, she's giving off lots of scent that's making them all react very strongly, Damon especially. Poor Morris in the front seat driving is like,
Oh, the fucking
what
driver
the
dude, he's having
fuck?
a hard time over there.
And he's trying to drive in a snowstorm, and it's not going well. And they're all jumping around the car, and Kane's sitting here getting choked to fucking completion. And Jed's trying to like hop out of the front seat into the back to help what's going on over here. It's Morris is like, should not have come to work today. And
Poor Damon's having a panic attack because he doesn't know what's going on with the Omega.
yep.
Oh my God.
And so Morris is like, I can't keep driving. This is not safe. This is not safe with her in the car like this. Any second, they could snap into like an alpha frenzy type of thing, and
Mhm.
it's not going to go well. So he calls his sister, who's only like 15 minutes away, her house, and he knows she's not home. He calls her, asks if he can use her basement, because you don't want to have a place that has a lot of smells in it
So
for the
basement was
Omega,
their choice?
and he knows that the sister doesn't use the basement very much.
So put a girl
there
in a
shouldn't be
basement.
smells. And the sister says the basement's a good idea because there's tinsel all over her house because her kids kind of had a field day with it, and she wasn't that worried because they were leaving.
She also said that they were remodeling the space, so it was like freshly good for like Omegas like to nest. So.
Yeah. So they bring her to Morris's sister's house, and the boys actually like work together to help make her a nest. And it's kind of cute because they don't really give a fuck about her, but now they're sitting here trying to help her. And it's kind of cute that they're trying because they're like warring with themselves, like, oh, she should get nothing, but she needs
I
this.
just said it's so cute. They don't like her.
No, but they're fetching everything she needs.
Right,
Oh
but
my
at the same
God.
time, they're basically like, she should get nothing. Like, we're
It's
just
just
handing her off
funny
to
the way you worded it.
the auction
It's so
house. Like,
cute. They fucking hate her.
so Adira goes into heat, and Kane is the first one to be subjected to the alpha haze, and
Not to be
starts
confused
like,
with the lavender haze.
I just want to stay in that lavender
Ah,
haze.
no, I want to stay in that alpha haze. So he starts going down on her to ease some of her ache. And it's that moment that things click for Damon, with all of her scents rising into the air and seeing his brother with her. And he realizes what she is to him. And he's like, mine.
And his
Okay.
brothers were like, holy shit, this never happens.
Let me fuck her first.
Well, and he was going to let Kane, he's like, I'll get a turn eventually. It's okay. But Kane was like, no, it should be you.
Kane had a soul?
Even though he was in the alpha haze.
Damn.
Yeah.
He's a true brother. Look, that man.
Yeah. So Damon went to fucking town.
He went to
Pound
Pound
Town.
Town. Did we say that at the same time? We keep doing that.
They all kind of play with her a bit. Kane even fucks her face for a little while before he decides that he's going to play with his toy Morris instead, so that
So Beta,
it's his beta, so he can
Okay.
play with him whenever he wants.
and
Alright, sounds
Damon
good.
is the only one who's not involved with Morris, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good for
'Cause
Morris.
Damon's not involved with anyone. Yeah. But that's okay because that makes room so that Kane can stop playing with her titties and move up to fuck her face too.
And it's
and,
fucking her face, not her throat.
It was not.
He was laying on the floor in a nest,
It's
so
not
I'm gonna
specified.
say face.
Okay, we'll go face
I
fucking.
think she was on her hands and knees
Huh?
because Kane was underneath her playing with her tits. And then when Kane rose up and had his dick in her face, then Damon scooped his arm up and grabbed her by the throat and pulled her up so that her back was to his chest. So
Sounds
that
kinda
he
hot.
can pull her up, fuck the shit out of her, knot her, and bite her.
I do like
Solidifying
being
their
bit. That's kind of like
self.
really nice.
Apparently this went on for days, though we don't get to know that. This haze went on for days because days later, Adira wakes up alone in her nest.
Clarity.
And right, everyone's
that
come out
post-nut
of the
clarity.
haze. Post-not clarity.
Nicely done. Well done.
So they're dehazed now, and she is clearly marked by Damon, and she can feel Damon through their now connection that they have. And she can feel his stress and agitation and worry. And she hears talking, and she kind of goes through the house to find out where the boys are. And she overhears them talking. And now that they are out of the haze, they are talking about how they still have a job to do, that they can't betray their father, and that they need to deliver her to the auction house. And it's a really good thing that nobody else bit her, because it's bad enough to have one brother be suffering over this. And then Damon's all kind of upset, and they're just like, well, maybe you can find her after she's used up, kind of thing, through your connection to her. And she hears all this, and she's like, fuck no. And she finds some shoes by the door, and she fucking runs, which they hear the door, and they run after her. And they're all like, stop. And they're trying to use their omegas on. She's like, your bark doesn't work on me, asshole. And she keeps running. And now Damon is, Adira, stop. And she's like, why? And he's like, because I don't want to hurt you. And all of a sudden you hear, wait, and no. She goes down. And all of a sudden Morris is there. Like, hold on. I know it hurts. Hold on. And then you have Jed. I'm taking away your goddamn gun, Damon. And worst of all, Damon fully opens the bond, and she's flooded with love and sadness, apologies, but she still doesn't know how he shot her. And she's just like, this will keep you from having to sell me. And Damon's all like, I didn't mean to. And she's kind of like, I don't know what he didn't mean to do. You don't mean to kidnap me, bite me, shoot me? Doesn't matter now. Darkness comes for me. Time slips through my fingers as I lose consciousness, and I wonder if I ever want to wake again. And that's the end of our story.
Cliffhanger with somebody's life on the line. Chills.
I would probably read that. I was a little into it. You know, I was a little into Kane.
Yeah. I know I went through it kind of quickly, but they all had good qualities. Yeah. So this story will be back for their full length standalone in December 2024.
God damn it.
Just like my last pick of the last anthology.
Keep doing this to us. Keep ruining our souls.
Weirdly enough, my favorite character was Adira, because as sheltered as she was, she did not take any shit, and she fought every chance she got. And she was there. She stood up. Unfortunately, this is not a whole book, but I liked it. There were some typos in it, just like it wasn't gone through, like names were. It was a lot of easy things to fix, like extra letters here and there. I think in theory, when the whole novel comes out, I would imagine that would get fixed, because it would be a whole run through. I'm going to say, for now, I'm going to tentatively give it a 4.
I like that.
So
I like that.
that is Upon a Wicked Night.
Cucumber rating?
Oh, it's hard because it's not a whole book. I only have the one scene.
1.5 if you count Kane in the car.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I guess I'll give it a 3 because I only had the 1.5 scenes. Maybe a 4 because there were so many people involved. All right, Angie, what are you bringing us?
Our resident brat will take over. You've got mommy, you've got daddy, you've got a brat. We've got the whole party here. The whole
Got baby brat. Mommy, daddy, and baby brat.
And I've got their full undivided attention. Yay. Okay.
Because you've been such a good girl this whole time.
Stop it. Okay, you're gonna make me blush. Oh my god. This book was 82 pages long, this novella. An Omega for Christmas by D.E. Sion. An Omega for Christmas is a White Shoes novella set in the fictional world of Briar Oak and features Omega-verse characters. Sexually explicit content does take place, including FM, MM, MMF. This little holiday novella is for those that want a shot of something short and sweet, where the characters are too good to be true, where there is no third act breakup, and green flags everywhere. I did not read this introduction. because I like to skip right in and not even read the warnings because I have issues. For the actual warnings, we have infertility, discrimination, daddy kink without age play, breeding kink, actual breeding, nodding, mpreg, msex, threesome without cheating.
That M-preg thing still gets me. Where does
Oh,
the baby come out?
you will see. Okay,
Oh,
you won't
Come
see.
with me and you'll see
Oh my
a
God.
that
world of pure vagination.
such a great word.
So, I'm going to introduce all of us to our characters instead of the way that our author introduced them to us chronologically because it will just go so much faster if we all know who we're talking about. So, Eric Kane and Aureliana, or Leah for short, Kane, are a mated and married couple. They're high school sweethearts and they live in this cute little snowy cabin up in Oregon. And they have been trying to have children for 10 years, but she's infertile, so they've been trying to adopt. Now, they are nearing their 15th anniversary the next day when,
So they be old.
no, they're high school sweethearts, so they're in their 30s.
Are you calling us old, Ariel? Because that's how
To
old
have
we are.
children, kinda.
My mom had
I
my sister at
guess.
39.
Okay, so Eric and Leah, or Ari.
Oh,
Ari is
Eric,
an,
Ariel's wearing a Little Mermaid shirt.
but it's Eric, Arick. Eric.
That's a lot of
Cry-
extra letters.
Yeah.
Crystal and I are choosing to believe that it's Eric.
It's Prince Eric.
So Ari is an alpha and Leah is a beta. Leah is infertile, and so they've moved on and they've tried to do adopting, right? Except that this has been their fifth rejection, and the council says they can't try for adoption anymore unless they move to a different area and try with like a different council. It's a real shit show, and they're like super heartbroken about it. And they get this news right as the world opens up and right before their 15th year anniversary. Pin in that. I'm going to introduce you to our Omega, whose name I cannot pronounce. It's spelled Rioghan.
I would say Ryan,
Ryan?
but
They call him Rio for short, so I will be calling him Rio from now on. Leah, our beta, Ari, our alpha, and Rio, our omega. Cool, cool. So Rio is in town visiting their cousin, Parker, from Florida. And he has also come in search of a different alpha because his alpha, while they never went hungry or cold, was not kind. And one time when this Omega tried to get a job at the Omega Center, the Alpha said no, and they tried to go anyway, and they still have scars on their neck from the fit that the Alpha threw. So
lovely.
Parker, being our resident super kind himbo, is the way that he's described. Like, he is the kindest airhead you will ever meet.
Oh, I love a good himbo.
Oh, so great. He's like, hey, come up and visit me, and it'll be fine. And in his head, Parker's thinking, hey, well, maybe I can introduce him to the Canes because they've been looking for an Omega to mate with, whether they have children with this Omega or not. So this could be a good thing for all of them. So Rio comes to visit his cousin, except our resident airhead has a date. The one thing he will never be late for, a date. And he forgets to tell his cousin that, hey, I know that we live up a mountain, but I went into town real quick for this date. But don't worry, like, there's a generator and the neighbors have a snowmobile, so if you need anything, just hit them up. Except that Rio's from Florida and has never dealt with the snow, and Parker didn't teach him how to use the generator. So the lights went out, and Rio goes out into the snow to brave the storm to try and find these neighbors. And he falls and he gets hurt. And we're going to put a pin in that. And we're going to go to the
Oh, a
beginning.
lot of pins.
So Leah and Eric are driving back from the hearing and they are beside themselves. They're like super depressed, super not happy. But the thing that really pissed Ari off was the fact that he was advised to find a nice fertile omega so he could have his children, that he didn't have to be trapped. And this pissed him off because Leah, they're basically like fated mates, and how dare they say something like that? Devastated that they got denied for the fifth and final time for adoption. And the whole time he's known Leah, all she was wanted to do was have a family and be a mother, and he can't give that to her. And as a providing alpha, he's distraught that he can't give it to her. And this is when I fall in love with Eric because they pull over and he's asking, "What do you need?" And she climbs on his lap and they, emotional support cuddles. And she asks him what he's thinking. And he's thinking about like the first day that they met, and he recalls like down to what she was wearing. And he said, "I knew the moment you smiled at me that I would be yours forever, no matter what." And then he says, "We'll get through this like we get through everything. We should take a few days and talk about what we want to do next. But as long as I have you, I don't care if we never have children. I want them just like you do, but I want you more. I'm not going to leave you. I love every piece of you. To me, my love, you are perfect." And I almost cried.
Aw.
Now that they've calmed down for a little bit, they kept driving because they really needed to stop for this conversation anyway, because they're driving through a snowstorm. It's pretty bad. It's getting pretty bad. They live on the top of a mountain. He had bought her this cabin when she turned 25. They had first visited this cabin. It was their first like overnight trip together when they were 20. So like the whole place means a lot to them. So they get home and she's, knackered from her like emotional breakdown. So he puts her on the couch because he knows that if he puts her on the bed, she'll freak out because he's too far away from her. And he starts cooking her favorite meal for her. And then they clean up together, and we learn that they have an equal and harmonious household. Then they decide to take a bath together. He's asking her about the best like days of her life because he's talking about like the day that he got their cabin, and she said that was the third best day of my life, and he's asking what are the best two. And he says, "I knew, of course I did, but she knew I needed to hear. My curvy, stunning, amazing wife slipped the cable knit dress off her shoulders and let it fall to the floor while she tilted back against my now bare chest." So, like, they're like getting cozy. And then he says, "Normally I would have stopped to worship her soft, curvy belly, but I knew that today it would be a sore spot and was best avoided until Leah invited that touch from me. She felt empty sometimes," she'd confessed to me once at night, "from how desperately she wanted to be a mother." That broke my heart. There's a little bit even more curvy rep. He says, "I rubbed my lips over her thighs, full and soft under my touch. I loved Aureliana's body. She was healthy and trim, but soft and curvy at the same time. The curves she proudly displayed reminded me of a Renaissance painting." He described her to a Renaissance painting. I should mention that the chapter's point of view shifts every chapter. So Leah, even though she's a beta, she's very self-assured and she knows what she wants. And there's this quote that says, "I needed to watch my alpha on his knees for me," which, yep. There was a slight typo, but still a great quote. And then we get descriptors for Eric. He is 6'3", brown hair, green eyes, strong, muscular, and tattooed body. Love that. I don't know how, but the author made me feel more sad than horny when she like inserted this, because it talked about how she like wanted to be full of him, but didn't want to think about the fact that she couldn't grow anything with her own body
God, being sad
because
and
of
horny
that.
are two very, like, that's a hard situation.
Yes, it
That's
is.
confusing.
Yeah, but then she was like, "Nope, I need to get out of my head." So she literally asked him to like fuck her out of her mind. It was great. We learn that their dynamic is even, so they're basically switches. Sometimes I got him worked up enough that he lost control. I loved it when he was at my mercy, but right now I was at his.
I love it.
He is also described as a lucky alpha because he can control his knot at will. He's like one of the very few that he can like do it at will. And so she asks him to do it, and he's like, I got you.
Interesting.
So that was they finished their bath, they're in bed, happy and satisfied. Chapter 3 opens up with Rio's point of view. We learn that he's out there. He's like very like sarcastically monologuing, like, come visit me, Rio. It'll be fun. Come stay with me a week. Like, he's literally telling us everything that has happened in a super sarcastic way. And then he falls into a hole because, again, he can't see anything. And he falls into a hole, and he's like, I'm going to kill Parker. I'd fallen in maybe 6 feet onto what felt like rock or maybe a tree trunk under my feet. Using that to push off, I squirmed my way back up, made it probably halfway until ground level before I lost purchase and slid down again, wincing when my hurt ankle flexed under the pressure. So he's now hurt and in a freaking hole. And then Eric had heard something, so he went to go check. And he scares the living bejesus out of freaking Rio. He's like,
I
are
mean,
you
especially
okay?
when it's
Are you
pitch
hurt?
ass black and he can't see anything. Just having a person just coming out of fucking nowhere is
Yeah,
terrifying.
so he's flat on his back, breathing hard, and sweating, and shivering. And then he hears, are you okay? Are you hurt? He screams bloody murder and flings a handful of snow to the face that was suddenly right next to his, talking to him in a deep voice. So Eric had gotten up to check, and he's like, oh my God, where the fuck did you come from? Oh my God, I almost died of a heart attack. Only 22. Didn't your mama ever tell you not to sneak up on a person? Like, he goes off on him. So funny. So he's like, hey, are you Alpha Kane? And he's like, yeah. It's like, so my cousin Parker, yada, yada, yada. He's like, all right. They make introductions, and Alpha Kane, like, swoops him up because Omegas are apparently smaller. I never got the descriptor for Rio, but I'm guessing he's smaller than Leah. So he picks him up, like he weighs nothing, and he takes him in the house, and he's like, my wife is a beta and she'll take a look at your ankle, and if you're comfortable, and it'll be okay. And the whole time they're just trying to make sure that he's super comfortable because there's the whole like power play thing in the Omegaverse, and they don't really do formalities. Ari and Leah, they're very balanced. They're just a married couple. So takes him inside, and Rio says, oh, fuck me sideways, he's gorgeous. It was only when he stopped short and quirked a brow at me with an amused look on his face did I realize I'd spoken out loud. Dude was so out of it, he was literally like, so I
That
thought
sounds
that
like
was
something I
hilarious.
would do.
Yeah, so then, Rio's like, are you sure your wife is okay with you bringing me? Ari's like, if I leave you out here, she's gonna make me sleep on the dog bed. Also, they have a dog, and the dog has a bed, and he means it. So Rio's like, but she doesn't even know I exist yet. I could have been a screech owl. She'll know. How exactly? Because she knows everything. You really have had to sleep in the dog bed, haven't you? Once. Poor dear. Yes, now hush, your lips are blue and I want to get you something hot to drink. He immediately goes alpha teddy bear on this guy, and it's
I love it.
adorable. And then he said, I thought you were going to say you wanted to get something hot in me. Oh, because Rio is he's just the most. Something about Rio that confused me that I wish I had learned earlier on that I did not learn. Rio, from half up, is a dude, and from bottom down, he has complete female and male reproductive systems. So you have the penis at top, and then the balls, and then the vagina right under the balls, and then the asshole.
Interesting.
Yes, I was very confused. I kept calling Rio they because I didn't know what was going on, but Rio refers to himself as a he. So Leah looks at his ankle, and this is where we find out that Rio is actually a dude and that Parker is the kindest himbo in existence. And Rio's descriptors, he has pale skin, which I thought was strange for living in Florida. But then I thought about Crystal, and I'm like, yeah, that tracks. Blue eyes, dark hair, and scars on the right side of his neck. That was very prominent from the get go. Then we learned that Leah is a school nurse, and so she's like, actually qualified to take a look at his ankle. It doesn't look broken, but he's definitely going to have to stay off it for a while. But it's not a problem because apparently Omegas heal super quickly. Eric gets some spare clothes for him because obviously he's like super drenched, and Eric takes him to the restroom to get changed out of his wet clothes, and he finds himself extra excited by Rio's scent. So, he's trying to be all polite and shuffle out and be like, okay, let me know if you need anything. And he like closes the bathroom door so that he doesn't see like the tent in his sweatpants. And Leah, apparently also affected, gives him a blowjob in the hallway.
Well, that went quickly.
Yeah. Rio finishes his bath, shower, whatever. Eric goes back and, helps him dress. And then they put him in their bed and they decide to take the couch. And Leah is just super like nurturing and mothering to him, and it makes her so happy to like take care of this Omega. And Eric is eating it up. He is loving seeing his mate do all this. Like he is in cloud nine, but he also feels so guilty about it because like obviously he's a married, mated man. Like he feels so conflicted. They get some food in him, and Rio learns about their struggles trying to find an Omega to join their family, and subsequently learns about like how balanced the household dynamic is. They tuck him in to their bed after Leah makes him eat something, and then they head to the couch. While she's like tucking him in, she learns that Rio's alpha sounds like a complete 180 from Eric, and that Rio is in town to find a new alpha because the ones in Florida aren't very nice. Leah tells Eric later when they're like snuggling up in the couch that maybe they should throw their hat in the ring and, you know, see what happens. And Ari, ever the level headed alpha, says, sleep on it, we'll think about it in the morning. They snuggle up and go to sleep.
I love all the
There's
snuggles.
I know. Oh my gosh. So it's the next morning, and we find out that they're officially snowed in. They have breakfast and they reassure him that he's not imposing. Rio's like, please let me know and I'll reimburse you for like everything. And they're like, we want you here. Don't you worry about it. And they get to know each other a little bit better. Rio reveals a little bit more about, his alpha situation and like that they don't really celebrate the holidays because it's around Christmas, and that his alpha did let him keep a small desk tree with blue tinsel. And then they decide to hang up Christmas decorations together. Leah reveals that she's usually very possessive when it comes to Ari, but that she doesn't feel that way with Rio, and she just feels happy and settled. In chapter 6, we learn that they're going to be snowed in for a little bit longer. So they decide to hang up Christmas decorations together, and after breakfast, Leah goes out and says, I marked the tree that I want with the red ribbon. Like, if it's too much, then we'll get the fake tree. So Ari goes out, and then it's just Rio and Leah in the kitchen. Rio calls Parker after they find out that they're going to be snowed in for a little bit longer, and he finds out that Parker kind of set up the whole thing. And then he puts like the thought in Rio's head, and Rio gets excited about the prospect of having Ari's child. So I was like, wait a second, male pregnancy? And this is where having read the warnings would have come in handy. So then it's Leah's point of view. They're in the kitchen. She's making lunch. He's keeping her company while he's out chopping the tree that Leah marked for Christmas. We learn occupations. Leah's a school nurse and she volunteers weekly at the local beta center. Arik is more of an entrepreneur. He owns the gym, the furniture, and the mill in town, but he's more like a silent partner at the gym because it was his sister's dream and he just made it happen. And he just spends his time running back from the shop to like the mill and making furniture and whatnot. We learned that Rio is a student and he tried to do the thing at the Omega Center, but his alpha didn't like it. So then there was a really cute moment in this one where Ari said, right before that, he goes out to chop the tree. So he goes, are you wearing my favorite things under this dress that I love so much on you? She says, yes, Alpha. And he goes, good girl, I love you. My
Angie's
direct
dead.
my direct comment, me, dead, swoon, dead, melt, all in capitalization. Rio and Leah start talking about what they'd like in the future, like family wise. And Leah asks him if he thinks he might be the right fit for them. And he says yes. So after They set the food, it's like a crock pot kind of meals. They move to the couch to like kind of just keep talking, and they end up snuggling. And right before they fall asleep, Leah tells him to like take the rest of the day to think about it before they talk it through with Ari. Chapter 8 begins. In Eric's point of view, on his way back with the tree, he spots a tiny little Charlie Brown tree, and it reminds him of Rio. So he gets it down for him, and he like keeps going. Then he found them napping on the couch, and it was so cute to him that he had to stop to take pictures. And then he just let them nap, and he made himself useful upstairs. This man is basically the poster child for anti-alpha male toxicity. Fucking swoon.
Love it.
He goes in, he braves the storage space, even though he's scared of spiders, because deep in his heart, he just knows there is blue tinsel in there somewhere, and gosh darn it, he's gonna find it. While he's doing all this, he realizes that he's really gonna talk to Leah about putting in a bonding request for Rio, but only if Leah wants it. If she doesn't, nothing's gonna happen. When they wake up, Ari takes Leah with him for a shower, and Leah fills him in. The thought of the three of them gets them very
That's not
hot
where
and
I thought that
bothered.
was going.
Wait, why?
Because she fills him in.
No, he fills
She
her in.
fills him in.
No, he fills her in.
Ariel had the same thought I did.
So the dirty talk in this part was 100. They are taking their shower, and the thought of the three of them together gets them so hot and bothered that he asks Leah, "Do you like him?" And she says, "Yes, I like him so much. He said he was hoping his alpha would have another omega or beta to be his best friend and hopefully more. I want to take care of him, be friends with him, and help him reach his goals. I want to watch him come apart on your cock. He'd be beautiful, whimpering into my pussy while you knot him up, breeding him so full."
That went from 0 to 100.
Yes, it did.
But here's the thing. Thinking about the fact that not only does he have a dick, but he has a vagina, imagine the possibilities.
Yes, I thought about that also. So that just drove him fucking insane, and literally fucked her senseless after that and bit her again.
So exciting. I know it's a mating thing, and I'm kind of into it.
I plead the fifth. He says, "Picture it. Picture him tonguing your clit while he comes apart on my knot. You'll make his face all slick and shiny while I breed him." They finish showering, they dress, and they join Rio in the living room. And Eric makes his intentions known, letting him know that they want him, but it's totally up to him whether they get together. And then he goes to finish dinner while Leah and Rio talk a little bit more.
Do they talk or do they choke?
No, they talk. Like, man, what in the world? Leah is a really interesting character because she's very self-assured, and the level of growth and maturity this character has is amazing. She decides that she wants to get dressed in like an evening gown, even though they're not going anywhere, because she likes to dress however she's feeling. And Ari had asked her that one time, like why she gets really dressed up just to be at home. And she said, "I dress to impress myself. And that's when I feel the prettiest or the sexiest, the most confident, or even the most comfortable. Sometimes that means sweatpants and a stained t-shirt. And sometimes that means a ball gown. You wear whatever you're comfortable in at home, and I'll do the same." I love her so much. Anyway, so he is in gray sweatpants and an old collared shirt.
Ugh, sorry.
Yes. And she said, "You look exquisite, my love." And he said, "I aim to impress, you know?"
He wrapped it so nicely for her. Great sweatpants.
Yes. So he says, "I'll go finish dinner and I'll see if Rio wants to help." And she shakes her head and says, "I'd like to talk to him a little bit more." So they make their way from the bedroom into the living room. And Rio's like, "Oh my gosh, you look amazing. You look gorgeous." Because he is attracted to both of them. They're all attracted to each other, by the way. Ari says, "Doesn't she look good enough to eat? I'm going to go ahead and like finish dinner. It'll be ready in about half an hour." And then Rio's like, "But it's your anniversary. Like, shouldn't you eat together without me?" And he's like, "We want you there."
Oh, they want to eat.
This is not that kind. So they tell him he can read a book if he wants or whatnot. Right before he heads into the kitchen, he tells him, but I want you to know that if I could, I'd submit a bonding request for you right this minute. If that's not what you want, that's okay, and I hope we can be friends. But you feel like mine, like ours, and I'm not going to hide that from you. Everything is up to you. But if you want us, we want you too. During dinner, they talk about expectations, like if they were to pursue a relationship, what that would look like. And then they move to the couch as a group, and things start heating up. While things heated up at the end of chapter 9, Rio asks Ari to fuck him, and like Ari looks to
Breed
Leah for
him.
confirmation. Yep. And Leah's like very enthusiastic, yes, let's go. And so they go do that. Chapter 10 starts with Rio thinking, oh hell, if he can kiss this well, what would sex be like?
Amazing.
Yes.
It'd be amazing.
Um,
It translates.
this is where he explains his anatomy. Roughly one third of the male omega population, I had two complete reproductive systems in a tight slit just behind my balls that typically stayed closed until I was in heat or I was extremely aroused. I had female anatomy, but I also had a full set of male anatomy. Because of that, I was considered extremely fertile by my omega doctors. He talks a little bit about why he's like so sought after, like the whole bonding thing and how oppressive it is, and like yada yada yada. So they move into the bedroom, and Rio is kicked into a pseudo heat, which he says only happens with fated mates.
Sweet deal.
Yep, and then their dirty talk and their breeding kink really comes out to play here. He says, "Breed me, daddy, hold me down, and make me take your knot." Just very there. So Ari
Rio's like,
knots.
and I'm out. I will never ask
Ari,
anybody to breed me because I don't like this.
I have no problem being a Twinkie. I just don't want children.
Like, Twinkie me up, baby. That's fine. I'm just not gonna be like, breed me, daddy. No. It's not how that works.
Now I want to say that just to scare somebody away.
So
You would have to let a man near you first.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Leah whispers into Rio's ear to call him daddy, so that when Rio does it, Ari loses his freaking mind. Like he loses it. So funny. So okay, so Ari knots Rio while Leah came on Ari's hand. Rio wanted to watch Ari and Leah together, and then they all take a big bath, calm down, they clean up the kitchen from dinner, and then they go to bed. The next morning, Rio wakes up early to find that Ari has made a little tree complete with the blue tinsel. And he basically begs him on the spot to just make him his Omega, like no waiting period, no nothing. And Leah wakes up with a smile to find them making love on the table. Then in the epilogue, it's been another 5 years. They have a 5-year-old alpha named Carter Parker Kane, which is a tiny version of Ari. They have a bonding ceremony shortly after Carter was born. They also had another child, a beta, who was a tiny version of Rio and 13 months younger than Carter. Rio was 8 months pregnant with twins, which Leah is pretty sure happened the very night that her miracle baby was born. She had a miracle baby that was 8 months old. Kira Antonia Kane.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry. So the men all got together and had sex while this woman was giving birth? This exhausted woman
Mhm.
just birthed a human out of her hoo-ha, and all the men just got slap happy
They were
and went,
happy, so they celebrated by having sex. And you know what? She probably got turned on by watching them have sex,
Probably.
she
which
did
is why
not get
Rio
turned
is
on.
pregnant with.
She just had a baby out of her vagina.
You don't know her. You're not in her brain. But she doesn't have to have the sex. She can just watch the sex being had and be like, enjoy, baby. I love. You know what? They
No,
have
I'd
just
be
this.
like, no.
I'm just assuming they celebrated by banging.
And
And
she
she
was
just
okay with
watched.
it.
Yeah, and she was okay with it. Because guess what? She doesn't have to do anything. She's good.
Okay. I feel like she'd be pretty tired, but okay.
She doesn't have to have sex.
Also, Parker ended up with a pack of his own and also got his happily ever after. And surprise to absolutely nobody, Ari got even swoonier with fatherhood.
He really
Uh,
became
Oh,
a daddy.
yeah, Rio now worked at the Omega Center 3 days a week and helped new parents find their group too. Leah quit her job joyfully to be a full stay-at-home parent after Carter was born. And you guys, even the dog made it. The dog was alive and they also had a puppy. And they all gathered around a tiny tree and listened to Ari as he told the tale of, quote, our first baby tree, the wonderful year we'd had an Omega for Christmas.
Ariel hates this story because it's happy.
It was so
And
spoony.
it has a lot of love and spoons. So
So,
Ariel's
If I
just,
used trash fingers, I would use them on you.
you've
so
gotten soft as you've gotten
yesterday,
older. You used to trash finger me all the time. That's a bad nope.
Yeah, I did, baby.
so just
That's what
yesterday,
mommies do to daddies. They
oh
use those
God.
trash fingers.
So yay. For this Omega for Christmas book, my favorite was Alpha Kane, Ari, because I mean, come on, man. He is literally everything. Overall rating, I'm going to give this one a strong 3.9 because even though this was the first work that this author has published, there were a lot of grammatical stuff that I caught. I also feel like if it was supposed to be a slow burn completely, it should have read that way. If it was not supposed to be that way, it should have read that way. It was also too convenient. Like maybe I'm jaded or I don't know what, but you can't just have a
But that
book
was
full-
the intent of the story.
Yes, but you can't just have a book full of green flags. I need some drama.
It's a novella and an
I
anthology.
don't know. Ariel likes to find a lot of problems with convenient things in a lot of books sometimes, even though they're there for a reason.
I don't know.
What was your cucumber rating?
There were a lot of things that took away from it, and there were some things that added to it. So I'm gonna go with a solid 6.5.
There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that was our second Snowed In January anthology. These books I feel like were a little heavier, a little less tinsely, but still good. Honestly, it was probably just the content because I had a harder time with the paranormal part.
Well, don't you worry, Crystal, because our next anthology
It's Crystal's anthology.
It's
rom-commy. I'm so
is
excited.
rom-commy lighter romance reads for our next one.
I'm so excited.
You got this.
I got this.
It is right up your alley.
Hell fucking yeah. I don't know. I don't even think I have an alley anymore. I just have like a roads.
It's a boulevard, baby.
So please read it. Please don't just let us sit here and be
I
weird
mean, you
about it.
could, but
Don't be weird about it. Just make sure to keep reading
and keep it smutty.
The corner.
with Angie's Alpha.
'Cause I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid to